So this movie is going to be Firestarter, released in, what was
84.
1984.
1984.
1984. A lot of good things happened in 1984. So this was Drew Barrymore's,
I think it's her second.
not second performance. I mean, she had a couple movies before this. I forget what they are now, but it was 2 years after E.T. I mean, that's always the benchmark for Drew Barrymore. 2 years after E.T., 1 year after E.T., whatever.
And she still couldn't act by this point.
Yeah,
but she looked adorable blowing people up.
Yeah, or as I like to call this movie, back off. Because that's all she fucking says in this movie. Okay, so girl gets supernatural powers through some kind of serum on the experiment.
It was actually passed down from mommy and daddy, who got telekinetic powers from the experiment.
You know, I don't fucking get into. We can get into this, but I don't get that at all. It doesn't make any goddamn sense based off of the logic that this movie predisposes about the experiment. Anyway, fuck it, we'll get into it.
I think the experiment was basically, was it adrenaline or some...
Yeah, it messes with some kind of gland, or pituitary gland, or something like that, to bring out the enhancements of that everyday humans can do. They can just do it in an elevated way.
Yes.
Now, how the fuck is that hereditary? All right, so it doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyway, but we'll totally get into it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go through the lineup of like the principal characters. You know, who are we talking about here?
So you had David Keith as Andy McGee.
All right, David Keith. David Keith. Okay, so he's playing what? Who's
he's
playing?
The dad.
He's the dad of Firestarter, or he's
Charlie.
the dad of Charlie. All dogs go to
Charlene
heaven.
McGee.
Charlie. All right. So, and then, which is weird, in IMDb here we got Drew Barrymore as second billing. I can't remember if Drew Barrymore was second billing on the movie.
Yes. At the time, Drew Barrymore was just getting started. There's not really much to go from E.T., 2 years later saying, hey, I'm now blowing motherfuckers up. But I'm still, America's sweetheart.
So we definitely, okay, so we got David Keith is Andy McGee, he's the father, and he's like, we're our main focus here. And then Drew Barrymore is a kid. Who's next here? Freddie Jones is Dr. Joseph Wanless, something like that. All right, so
I don't remember the guy's name. He was the quack mad scientist guy, giving everybody these pituitary shots or adrenaline shots, whatever the hell it was, that gave somehow powers.
Totally. Oh, apparently Heather Locklear's in this movie.
Heather Locklear's mom.
And, well, we don't really see her that much, except for, 2 flashbacks?
Victoria is seen in flashbacks and flashbacks only. Oh, nope. No, actually, yeah, the whole thing is just her in flashbacks.
Yeah, just her in flashbacks, so there's 2 of them that I can remember anyway. So she's playing that. She's playing the mom. And Martin Sheen. Hello, welcome to the movie, Martin Sheen. He plays Captain Hollister. Okay.
Always good for a bad guy.
So who's this? Yeah. So he's definitely a bad guy, but he's an operative in The Shop.
The Shop.
Okay, a little background on The Shop. The Shop is like this convention of Stephen King stories and books and all this like this. If you need a generic government subversive agency, you're going to call upon The Shop.
Well, it was actually, it was coined The Shop, but its actual name, I forget what it was. It was like the DIA
That's
or,
right.
or something like that.
There's definitely a
Department
name for it.
of Intelligence or Intellectual Affairs or
some fucking
some
bullshit, yeah. So Martin Sheen, yeah, he's definitely in this. George C. Scott. Yeah, he's in here. So he's playing
John Rainbird, I think was
Yeah.
John
He's
Rainbird.
a hired goon, definitely. And I mean, he's pretty high up on the goon status, but he's a hired goon.
Okay, I might be jumping ahead here, but I was a little kind of creeped out with what he said he wanted to do with
he's fucking
Drew
toucher.
Barrymore.
No, we're gonna get into this, but he's a toucher in this whole freaking movie.
He said that when Martin Sheen's character, Captain Hollister, or whatever the hell his name was done with Drew Barrymore,
Yeah.
he wants her.
Toucher.
And all I could think was, oh my god, we just stepped into very much so into the pedophile zone.
Totally. No, this whole movie has got
that creeped me out.
Nasty, bad touch all over it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but amazing performance nonetheless. And then I think the last character anyway, principal character we're talking about here is Art Carney. And he's playing this.
He's the farmer guy. He's
guy.
Grandpa Farmer.
So, just like in Wolverine, he's got to go someplace to, rest and sleep, get clothed, steal his motorcycle, whatever. This place just happens to be the farm place. Art Carney is the farm hand, or no, I'm sorry, not the farm hand, the owner.
He's Farmer, whatever the hell his name was.
Yeah, but he's playing this, no government's got to take over my land. You get off my property, you son of a bitch.
You're back in the woods. I mean... I think the majority of the film was actually recorded in North Carolina. It talks about, I think it opened up somewhere around Virginia, but ultimately I think the majority of the film, if not the entire film, was done in and around North Carolina.
Now
and
tell me something, Mike. Are you
people.
From South Carolina?
I am not from South Carolina, sir.
Did I fuck that up?
Yes, you did.
Are you from North Carolina?
Well... I lived there
from
for
the
a number
Carolinas?
of years. I lived there for a number of years, but I'm not
people on the
from
West
there.
Are you from the Carolinas? Because we can't fucking tell the difference between the two.
There's an imaginary line drawn in there that somehow is supposed to make them different, but they're all the same.
Cool. All right, so yeah.
But no, I actually saw the movie when it came out in the theater. Yes, it was rated R, but it's one of those R ratings that was, in my opinion, totally undeserved. It was people catching fire.
Yeah, people getting burned alive.
And they say shit and goddamn a few times in the movie.
Okay.
So now it's R.
This girl rips just makes some human torches, all right? And people are running around on fire screaming.
Yes.
At one point in this movie, I got a note on here that says...
Don't forget, Art Carney
she's
gets
from
shot.
Satan.
Art Carney gets shot. Don't forget that.
That's right.
That right there
shot.
is traumatizing in and of itself. Art Carney got shot in the arm.
Some bitch shot me.
That right there deserves an R rating.
All right, so let's talk about the actors' performances next up here.
Hang on, don't forget, what was his name? Antonio Vargas.
Antonio Vargas?
The taxi driver.
Okay.
You can't leave him out, man.
That's fine. I mean, he's just a little bit part.
Fly guy from I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
No, I didn't see it.
Really? Oh, everybody has to see that at some point. Fly guy, he's a pimp. He goes into jail in like the early 70s or something like that, and he gets out, and it's now late 70s or some crap. And he gets out, and they show him walking down the street, and he's wearing his platform shoes, and his platforms are actual they're fish tanks. And then you got these, he's walking down the street, with this cane. He's got his pimp lean going, and people are just laughing at him, and he's just trying to keep his head held up high because he's a pimp. And then he stumbles a little bit and cracks his fish tank platforms, and he's got his little goldfish flopping around on the ground.
All right, so is he in this movie as a cameo, or is he had to establish a name himself in 19 fucking what was this?
I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker was like 76, I think, somewhere in there.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely an older flick. He's done bit parts in just about anything and everything. I don't know that this was so much a cameo as it was.
Just a bit part.
I need a paycheck.
Yeah.
I need a paycheck.
And you know what? He makes it. You know what? We can get into this when we talk about the character's performance.
And don't forget Huggy Bear. He was Huggy Bear.
But yeah, fine. We'll just go ahead and get this out of the way. This will segue until we'll talk about the characters. But yeah, I think he makes the most out of whatever this bit part is, because it's like, no, I'm not driving to the airport. And then the guy's like, yeah, you are saying $500. And he's like, $500?
I ain't saying no to $500.
And his delivery of that line, I loved it. I thought it was precious. Okay, so let's get into the actors' performances. We're going to go ahead, since Drew Barrymore has second billing on here, let's go ahead and talk about David Keith's performance. Okay, what? Yay, nay, what do you think? I mean, is this carrying the movie? He's carrying the whole fucking movie here.
I don't know about carrying the whole movie. I think the story is what carried the whole movie. Did David Keith do a good job as Dad? To a point, I think so. It was, God, I don't even know how to describe it. anytime he would try to get somebody to do what he wanted, you knew it was coming, and it took him like a minute.
He's got to squeeze his head,
and you know, cause it, you know, these nasty nosebleeds.
It's disgusting. Watching that the whole fucking movie, I'm like, oh god, he's gonna do his thing. All right, so yeah, I mean, I think he does just fine with that.
I think he did a fine job.
He's playing a protective parent.
Yes.
He's got to do it throughout the whole movie, and you know, in the end, he's just like, fuck him, watch him burn. I mean, he's just like, burn them all to hell. You know what? That's solid character writing. I mean, he's not one dimensional with that. So
as a dad myself, if you know, in that type of situation, yes, I would tell my children, kill whomever the hell jumps in your way. Burn them all. Burn it to the ground.
Well, with that, we'll go ahead and move on to Drew Barrymore. All right, Drew Barrymore. This is 2 years after E.T.
She was still, you know, the cute, you know, cute little kid. I thought she did great with every scene where she was going to blow a motherfucker up. Just that stone cold serious look on her face, and then it was kind of evil, kind of maniacal. Every once in a while, I don't know if you caught this, but every once in a while, you'd see a smirk on her face.
This is the type of show I'm going to be talking about here, because, okay, if Spielberg is telling her that her alien friend is dying to get a performance out of her, what the fuck did they do on this? I mean, it's like, just imagine that bunny rabbits are being blown up and cars are running up. What did they do to get this performance out of her?
Was that direction, or
it had to be direction.
or was she actually imagining, I am blowing motherfuckers up and this is fun?
Did they tell? Yeah, exactly. I don't think they ever, for her character, I don't think they ever thought of it as fun, like it was this tragic thing.
She was like 7 or 8 when they were filming this.
Yeah.
I don't know how receptive an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old is going to be when, you know, you're telling them, okay, now you just blew up a dozen people.
Exactly. She might have fucking believed that.
Crack a smile.
or she's just like telling a joke when the camera's on or whatever.
I think she had in her head, I'm setting bitches on fire. I have that power. And you know what? This is kind of fun.
Yeah. It's the whole thing.
Stop smiling, stay serious.
Because here's the deal, folks. Okay, everyone out there, children cannot act. That's all there is to it. You got to trick them into acting. I mean, there's a few very rare exceptions. All right, Freddie Jones. Let's move on to Freddie Jones. Freddie Jones plays the main scientist. He's in the flashbacks and he's in the bulk of the movie. Freddie Jones is probably Dr. Joe.
It's probably about the first, you know, quarter to half of the film until George C. Scott, aka John Rainbird, comes in, wakes him up with this kind of, again, creepy feather tickle to the nose.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the whole Drew Barrymore, you know, when you're done with her, give her to me. She's mine.
Makes you
so he
roll up.
Rainbird wakes him up with a nose feather tickle, whatever the hell thing, all so that he can karate chop this guy's face.
Yeah,
and kills him right there.
And bless us, we're getting to George C. Scott, but yeah, I guess his performance is typical. The character is typical for what it is in terms of the performance is for Freddie Jones. Yeah, he plays a straight doctor showing remorse for what he's doing in the beginning. Shows remorse for what he's doing in the middle of the movie.
He did, you know, strike me as being apprehensive. You know,
very competent.
Injecting all these people with this random ass.
Like he's like, it's not good what we're doing, and we're not happy with it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Heather Locklear. Yeah, she's getting top billing over George C. fucking Scott. But it's
because she had a pretty face and boobs.
So we got 2 scenes. She does fine. She's playing this tripped out scene when they're in the shop, and she plays a freaked out mom when she gets her mitts caught on fire from Drew Barrymore. Great.
I made mommy scream.
I made mommy scream. Oh, we're gonna get into that. All right.
Because you set mommy on fire, bitch.
So we can definitely move past Heather Locklear. All right, Martin Sheen. Oh my God, I tell you, the scenes with Martin Sheen and George C. Scott. It's almost like they were shot independently of the whole fucking movie. They are amazing. I remember whenever I watch a scene like this, I'm watching a movie, I'm just like, holy shit. These guys are just two really great actors doing their thing. Phenomenal performance out of Martin Sheen.
I think their performances were great, but you can only do so much with a bad script.
So you think the script's bad?
I have provisions set aside so that if I don't come back, I will bring the shop down in 6 months' time, and I understand, especially at the time, before, social media and the interwebs, were so prevalent. God, I really wish I could remember this this scene. But they don't throw out technical terms. They just say, "I will do some stuff to bring about the demise of your shop."
Right.
I'll do some stuff is basically what he said.
Okay.
That was from George C. Scott.
I don't want to downplay the performance, because when they're interacting with the girl and all this other stuff, it's competent, absolutely, and it's on script. When they're sitting there playing off each other in a room by themselves, it's awesome.
Oh,
it's,
totally.
I'm sure you can. You go out to the YouTubes, and I'm sure you can see these performances themselves. The YouTubes, yes. So there's Martin Sheen, and then of course that brings us to George C. Scott. Oh my God. I could watch this guy all day. Not about nothing in particular. I could just watch him act. I don't care. Just watch him act. It's
most definitely
fucking awesome.
Most definitely.
I think that's probably the most you can say about that.
If the intended character, or if the intent was for George C. Scott's character to be a fucking crazy, sick, twisted, perverted psychopath, possible
done.
Pedophile.
Oh, the touch. God, man. All right. So,
he did it very well. If that was the intent for that character, you sold me.
I hope he got paid. I hope he got paid well, because he totally deserves it. And I don't see it as being like the fucking Marlon Brando.
Thank you.
Not like a Marlon Brando situation like Apocalypse Now. I'm going to show up and I'm going to say some shit, blah, blah, blah. No. I see George C. Scott bringing a lot more to it, and being prepared, being a fucking professional, be a man, and do his job. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Art Carney. Art Carney, yeah.
Good old Art Carney.
The last thing I remember Art Carney was in Last Action Hero. He plays the guy taking the tickets. Has the magic ticket. In Last
my
Action
God,
Hero.
that was Art Carney.
Yeah. So that's about the only thing I really remember in him. And the guy works. He's been in all sorts of stuff. The Blue Yonder, The Undergrads. The Muppets Take Manhattan. That's right. He was in Muppets Take Manhattan. He plays the kid's dad who wants to put the show on Broadway. And he's got that line. He's got that line in Muppets Take Manhattan. It's like, because he's like, the kid's like, I want to do something different. And he's like, well, stick some Jell-O down your pants. I quote that all the time. Every time somebody says, I want to think outside the box, I want to do something different, I'm like, then stick some Jell-O down your pants.
One of these days, I should probably actually watch Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yes, you should. All right, so there we go. All right, so let's get into this movie. All right. So we start off, we've got the shop establishing scene in terms of a flashback, because he's just driving on the fucking road, and that's how we do those sorts of movies.
Well, it established, the evil of government.
The evil government entity, generic shop entity.
Yes.
So they're being put down on these slabs, and they're college students. That's what I get from the scene. They're all college students.
That's kind of how it came across. Yeah.
So they're all being injected. Now this is not an interdimensional portal or magic. They really they try to do a good job of explaining what's actually going on. This is a chemical enhancement to the pituitary gland to take abilities that humans have anyway and enhance them.
Yes.
Okay. There's a problem with this.
And that problem is?
The genetic factor. The ability to hand down these abilities to somebody else. So David Keith, he's given the ability to do telekinetic type of stuff.
Yes.
Influence people's minds.
Yes.
And all that. I'm not sure. Heather Locklear
Got the same thing.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. So they're just having a nice
trip.
trip.
They were talking back and forth.
That's right, because they were talking through their minds, and everyone else is flipping the fuck out.
Oh my God! You had the guy who gouged his eyes out. Now, in the
missed
book,
that.
in the book, he was the hippie-looking dude. I think he had the second line.
Holy shit! You read
in the
book?
movie? Parts of it, a long time ago.
Cool.
But in the book, they actually describe him gouging his eyes out himself, and they kind of come to it, but they don't really say anything about it. His fingers are all bloody.
Okay.
And then his eyes, I thought they did a pretty decent job as far as the makeup artist, as far for him gouging his eyeballs out.
Right.
And then they just glossed over that. You had a couple people having seizures. You had Heather Locklear and David Keith, having a great trip, and this one poor bastard gouged his own eyes out.
All right, so they're doing that. So they establish that they now have powers. That's great. And then we're cutting back and forth to that, and then the next flashback is where they have a child. Now introduce our cute and cuddly Drew Barrymore, who's as far as I'm concerned, the spawn of Satan in this fucking movie.
I thought she was amazing. I would love to have a child like that. That somebody pisses
Christ.
you off, you can set their ass on fire.
Anytime she gets worked up about anything, somebody's going to be lighting up. God damn it! And she's like, and then the very next sentence is, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that."
I made mommy scream.
I made mommy. Oh wow, we're gonna get into this. I made mommy scream.
Well, it's not like she set mommy on fire. She just set fire to the oven mitts.
Yeah, but how'd she die? How did she die?
It wasn't mommy, or it wasn't Charlie that killed mommy.
That's right.
Because Charlie was at a friend's house.
All right, so that doesn't. When I was first watching it, I knew the mom died because last time I'd seen this was like years ago. So I knew the mom died. She says, "I made mommy scream." I'm sitting there going, "Holy the fuck shit!" She torched her mom.
All right, I can definitely get that. I had seen the movie. I remember the movie quite well. From when I saw it when I was a child. But watching it, all I could think was, "Wow! If anybody that has not seen this movie before, they're totally thinking that Charlie set her mom the fuck on fire."
Totally. So I made mommy scream. So she's talking about that in the airport, and she's like, "I did bad things, Daddy." And Daddy's like, "No, that's okay. You just need to learn to control your behavior. Normal, typical kid stuff." So in the flashback, she basically just lights up mommy's oven mitts because mommy said that she couldn't do something or whatever.
Mommy said she had to go to bed.
She had to go to bed, right. And then they're running from the government entity, the generic shop agents, blah, blah, blah. And they're running to this airport where a couple of things are going to be taking place here. But one of the scenes, I'll never get this, and I'll never get this in any movies, is that they're in the middle of the road. And then you got this huge semi-tractor trailer bearing down on them, laying on the horn. This guy's got his elbow on the horn, okay? And nobody fucking swerves. They have to jump over a bridge because, god damn it, this tractor trailer semi-truck is not going to swerve. Ever. I don't get that.
I was a little stuck as to how Daddy got knocked the hell out, but the little girl was fine, even though you saw Daddy clearly land on Charlie at least twice coming down the side of that overpass. And Daddy's he's out cold, and you've got little Drew Barrymore trying to wake Daddy up, trying to drag him out of the way. The semi did change lanes.
I didn't remember that.
But it was only after they were out of the way.
That's useful.
After they got out of the way, the semi changed lanes. Never once did he slow down. He damn sure didn't stop. But he did change lanes after. If they would have been, still on the road, he would have run them the fuck over. But he did change lanes.
I cannot swerve. Jesus Christ. I have to tell my nieces and nephews, to start learning how to drive. I got to tell them to fucking, if there's a rabbit in the road, don't swerve. I mean, that's got to kill you. But it's not like this was a rabbit. You hit him. Yeah. Of course, now we're going to get emails on that too. It's all good. All right. So They need to find a place to sleep, but they're heading over to the airport. All right, so let's get into this airport because we got a couple things going on. We need to establish two main things at the airport. One, Daddy has powers. Two, that the girl has powers. So how does Daddy have powers? This is fantastic.
Daddy has the power to control minds.
Okay.
But somehow that also makes it possible for him to control the inner workings of an old phone booth.
Thank you. Makes no fucking sense. That makes no sense. And there's a couple inconsistencies here, which, again, we're going to get into when they're actually in the shop. But, yeah. How the fuck does telekinesis... Is it telekinesis? No, wait. No, you're right. He has the ability to control somebody's mind, which is part of the telekinesis. But the telekinesis also can control...
There's a difference between telekinesis and telekinetics. Telekinetics, you can actually control things.
Yeah.
But the only time that, throughout the movie that telekinetics is brought up is where he is, he's working the phone booth. Everything else in the movie is him just getting people to do what he wants.
And how much change did they get out of that phone booth, Mike?
It looked like maybe $10 to $20 in quarters.
This is hilarious. Do you know what? I remember paying for a pizza when I was a kid with coins. Okay? Now, we had a huge bag of pennies. Now, albeit there are pennies, but it was still this huge, enormous bag. Now, $10 in quarters. What does $10 in quarters look like? It looks a hell of a lot more than what they have in their bag. And what does he say right after that? Let's find a place to sleep. We can afford it now. Huh?
Charlie actually said, we can afford it now, as she holds up the bag of coins.
Because maybe we didn't say this earlier. They didn't have shit. They had no money before. So you're not going to find a place to sleep on no fucking payphone.
Actually, it wasn't just, it couldn't have been all quarters in that bag because if I remember correctly, in the early 80s, depending on where you were, you could place a phone call from a phone booth for 20 cents.
When was the last time you were in a phone booth? I just traveled for work to Canada. It fucking sucks. But
it was probably early
Canada.
90s.
Yeah.
Really
And there was a phone booth. I actually took a picture of it, and I actually don't think I would know how to operate a phone booth at this point. What do? You walk in, you put money in, and then you remember what? The phone number? What phone number do you know?
I barely know mine.
I think I know mine, only because I have to write it on forms and stuff. I have no idea what my wife's fucking phone number. Anyway, okay. So, they need to find it. So, this is great too. One of the flashbacks, after she lights up her mom's oven mitts, Dad finally loses his patience. He's like, nope, this is bullshit. So, David Keith, just shakes the hell out of Drew Barrymore. Says, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. After our whole little bit about how I thought that he played the good protective father role well, and then it hit me all throughout the movie. He is shaking the shit out of Charlie.
How far do you take this stuff with actors? I'm telling you, child actors. And he's really screaming in her face, just shaking the hell out of her, like, you can't do this anymore, you have to control it.
I will never hit a woman, but I will shake the hell out of her.
That is my favorite Chris Rock line. That's fucking awesome, I love it.
It was so bad.
You never hit a woman. I'll shake
the shit out of her.
Alright, so, yeah. So, alright, so eventually, they're getting chased down, and they go to Art Carney's place, and Art Carney, is pretty hip to what's going on. He's sitting there going, yeah, well, Drew Barrymore, why don't you let me sit here and talk to Andrew for a little bit?
It took no convincing, really, whatsoever for Farmer Irv to buy into Andy's story about how I have telekinesis and my daughter just so happens she can blow motherfuckers up with her mind.
Yeah, the guy he's dealing with it pretty well.
He's totally cool with it. He's like, sweet, I understand. I've got you. I understand what's happening
But he thinks they're running from the law, and he's still just kind of on board with like, well, if you're running from the law, that means the law did something wrong.
He totally bought into the government, secret facility, whatever, the shop. He totally bought into that in like 30 seconds time.
Yep. I mean, it seemed like there was something missing, or a line cut, or a scene missing, something. Yeah. So
when Mrs. Farmer Irv came in, though, she wanted nothing to do with that shit.
I love her performance in this. She's like, you can totally tell from her performance on this. It's like, you have to bring home every goddamn rabbit, bunny, goat, whatever, human in distress, and this is it. I've had it. One of these days, you're going to get fucking shot in the shoulder.
And he did.
So this is right. He gets shot in the shoulder right after Drew Barrymore lays waste to these government agents who show up. The guys from the shop.
She blew him the fuck up.
I remember these scenes from my childhood. Okay, I don't remember these scenes, but I just watched this movie, for the show, and I'm sitting there going, "This girl is a spawn of Satan. She's from hell."
Okay, you know what's funny? You're thinking the girl is from the devil, and all I could think was, wow, in the early 80s, stop, drop, and roll had not yet been invented.
Stop, drop, and roll had definitely not been. Dude, that was the same thing I was thinking while I was watching this movie. I'm sitting there going, nobody got this in the 3rd grade?
She sets fire to this one poor bastard, and it's just his right sleeve that is burning. And it's not, some crazy, out of control, unmanageable fire kind of thing. It's just
his sleeve. It's like, oh shit, I need to stop, drop, and roll.
Instead of taking his jacket off, he just holds it up over his head and just looks at it.
Just staring at it going, I wonder if this is going to start hurting.
Oh, look. I'm on fire.
Do you know what's funny,
if
though?
Only someone would have invented something, stop, drop, and roll.
Some catchy phrase that a fucking 8-year-old can remember. And you know what? I did remember that. And I'm sure I used it at least once or twice.
That was all I could think during that whole damn scene was,
why is nobody stop, drop, and roll?
Had not been invented at that point.
So they're lined up. I was watching this scene, I was also thinking, I just recently watched Point Break. God bless that movie. That might be a stay tuned. But, so I was recently watching Point Break. Patrick Swayze does the same goddamn thing. His coat's on fire from the gas station scene where they're lighting everyone up, and he starts hauling ass down the street. He's not taking off his coat. Nope. He's not stop, dropping, and rolling. He's on fire.
That's because he's a badass.
And the next cut scene is him just kind of lightly patting his coat, and the coat's just smoldering. I'm like, bullshit. You are a Human Torch. All right, so yeah. She blows up cars. She's lighting people like Roman candles. It's crazy. I'm like, she's evil.
Oh, I didn't see that she was evil.
Liken this to somebody losing their shit and punching somebody in the face. Okay? The same thing. Okay. You lose your shit and punch somebody in the face.
That doesn't make you evil.
A little
you just
kid?
Lost your temper.
Yeah.
Okay, but throughout she kept promising, I'm never going to do this again.
Oh my God.
Daddy kept telling her, you need to learn to control this. You can't just run around setting things and people on fire.
She went back to that same stock answer every single time. I'm so sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean it.
Well, later on, Daddy is now completely going back on everything he was trying to teach her. And, instead of controlling it, he's telling her flat out, kill anyone that gets in your way. Burn them. Just burn the whole thing. It's like, okay, all right. Clearly, we've left the moral high ground, the ethical, whatever, and now it's they all just need to die.
Let them die.
They all need to die.
Which comes up to a huge question I had, and I remember this just stopping the movie for me. I actually had to pause the movie and kind of contemplate this. Did I miss something here? Because as soon as this happens, right? So they're getting on their walkie-talkies and they're relaying this information to everyone. And Andrew and Drew Barrymore take off. Or David Keith and Drew Barrymore take off in the farmer's truck because the farmer's wife has had it. She's like, get the fuck out of here. This is bullshit.
Oh, the old Jeep that happened to be parked out back that was the way they described it, it's just an old Jeep.
It's just an old Jeep
back there.
You know what? Anytime we got runaways and fugitives. This is a classic Willie, CJ Willie. All right, so they're driving, and they go speeding past these agents that are on the long side of the road, changing a tire. I'm like, pause. What the fuck? Okay, this is the most random car problem to have.
Oh, but just to be clear, though, they were not in the CJ at the time they passed by the agents changing the
Okay,
time.
when was that?
They were still being driven by Art Carney in Art Carney's
totally
pickup back to the farm.
So here's my question with that, which that's totally true. It's a very random problem to have. They could have been changing their oil. They could have had vapor lock. They could have ran out of gas. You don't see that many random out of context car troubles in movies.
No.
These guys, for no reason. This is why I thought there had to be a cut scene or something. Like Drew Barrymore threw a fireball at him and they ran off the road and they had a flat tire.
It was a very, very weak way to allow the agency or the shop to follow
or to let the good guys get away.
It was a very weak storyline that allowed the agents to track Andy and Charlie.
I think completely dismissed this. The guy's like, "Hurry up with that tire." I'm like,
if they had not passed by them, they would not have gotten their license plate number, which allowed the agency to track them to the farmhouse.
Is that what happens?
That's exactly how it went down. It was very weak.
It's a little bit contrived.
It was the only means they had to allow the agency to track Andy and Charlie.
And so here's my next question, Mike. Where did they go after they get away? What region of the country do they go?
I don't even know where the hell it was. It was their second house. I'm still stuck on this. Their
vacation home?
They had a vacation home. I mean, it was theirs, but the way it came across to me was they just broke into some random ass house that they happened to know everything about.
I got the feeling the house was a relative or something like that. But here's my question. This girl has a propensity for starting fires. Where's the last place I'd fucking go? I'd go into a forest. That's the last fucking place I could think to seek refuge from someone who can start fires with their mind uncontrollably.
Where else are you going to go to allow George C. Scott to show off his tree climbing skills?
Point well taken, Mike. Point well taken. Okay, so they go into this forest. Yeah, I don't think that was the safest thing. It seems like putting gasoline on a flame. But so George C. Scott's definitely gonna start dwelling, playing the long game here, I would say, and hanging out in a tree for a couple days.
All right,
because everyone's afraid of her for obvious reasons.
Your problem with this scene is vastly different from my problem with this whole setup here. It had nothing to do with them being in their vacation home, some random ass individual. Don't know, don't really care. But the only problem I had with this scene was, if you remember back at the farmhouse, Charlie was able to, because Charlie doesn't just have the pyrokinetic ability, she also has the telekinetic.
Does she? Wait.
She could sense the government agents.
That's right. Oh my God, that's right.
Like,
I had a note about
miles
that.
Miles away.
Okay, this is a huge plot hole in the story because this doesn't add up several times in the movie.
She can't sense George C. Scott's big ass up a tree from 50 yards out.
Two
times.
She
could sense agents from miles away.
2 times in this movie, she sensed agents miles away, and all of a sudden, George C. Scott gets a pass for this. I was going to bring this up later when she's actually in the shop, and Martin Sheen's walking in like, "Hello, little girl," and everybody else is walking in there with fire protecting gear. Why does he get a pass on that?
Because it's Martin Sheen.
Because he's
a badass.
Yeah, Martin Sheen. He's quite dapper. Nope. Oh, he's also not quite the charmer. George C. Scott was the charmer. Mm-hmm. Both George C. Scott, I can understand him getting into the room without that shit because he's her friend.
Martin Sheen
Bullshit.
is a badass. He had the big hair to prove it. Martin Sheen was a badass.
But like you said, why does she not know he's there? Bullshit.
Her, not calling out Martin Sheen coming to the door, that's really neither here nor there, just because she is now in a compound surrounded by a bunch of assholes that she believes want to kill her father. And that was the end of that.
But she says she's not going to do it anymore.
Her not being able to cinch George C. Scott's big ass up a tree, that I have a major problem with.
So there's a motivation. Like, you got to take, most movies like this, they got some kind of, we need to start the clock. We need to start the countdown because that helps drive the action forward. So what's their motivation, Mike? Where is it they want to go to seek ultimate refuge?
I don't remember where the hell they were trying to go.
The newspaper.
Oh, that's right. Well, I was going to bring that up for the very end of it.
The newspaper. This is their entire motivation. This is what they're going to do.
But the newspaper, did they bring up the newspaper before, or was that only...
No, they bring it up several times in the movie. Now, they're going to go to the newspapers and tell their story. And why? Because they want to live a normal life.
Yes, they want the government off their back.
How in the hell are you going to live a normal life?
The newspaper will give them that peace.
All right, so best case scenario? Worst case scenario, depending on how you look at it. Okay, they tell the newspapers tells everyone knows this, and then what? A different government agent is going to do all sorts of tests on them, or people are going to be freaked out by her.
Let's leave the government out of it altogether for just a moment. Are you going to want your child going to school next to this crazy bitch that, some kid, says, "Hey, I like you," and next thing you know, he's holding hands with somebody else, and your son is, the next menu item at the barbecue.
Totally. Either way, you're not getting a normal life. So every time they mentioned that, I just rolled my eyes. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" That's a very strange motivation.
What was it? Art Carney tells her at the end, or I don't remember if it was Art Carney or if it was Drew Barrymore that said it. It was either "you're free now" or we're safe now" or something like that. As they're standing at the front door to the New York Times. And they go to walk in, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Maybe you guys are safe, but nobody in that building's safe.
Go to the newspaper, and all of your problems are solved.
All of your problems are solved. Bullshit.
It just seemed like we needed to end it somewhere. It has to have a happy ending somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And the only thing they could come up with was, tell your story to the paper.
I guess
all
you're doing is running from an entity, that's not really interesting. You need, like I said, some sort of ticking clock or some sort of destination or a source of redemption or whatever. And that was about as good as they were going to get with this story anyway. And I'm not sure if the book, follows the same type of logic.
I don't know that much about the book.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so going back to the shop for just a second. There's a couple scenes, and we're gonna get into the toucher aspect of this. I don't know if I really want to, but it's obviously there because I'm reading the user reviews and they're just like, pedophile, man. What?
Okay, so I've not read any reviews on this as far as online or anything like that goes. So that was mentioned by many other people.
Number of times.
Okay.
Skin crawling, absolutely skin crawling. But before we get to that, okay, I just told you I just laughed out loud. I'm watching this at like 11 o'clock at night. My wife's trying to sleep, and I just totally laughed out loud. LOL. They walk into the room. The first time Martin Sheen walks in the room, I'm sitting there going, "Why is he so cavalier about walking in this room with this crazy psychotic child?" And there's a fire extinguisher on the wall right behind him. It's hilarious. I totally
missed that.
Did you miss that? Totally, I'm like, the first thing in my head is like, well, safety first. So they do all these tests on her. They start with wood chips, and they establish how she can transfer the energy of the fire, the essence of the fire, into like another thing. That's how she controls it.
Did Martin Sheen go into the room and offer her the hot cocoa? I think he did that before the testing.
That's right. It was before the testing.
If it was done before the testing, I mean, because he clearly had no idea what she could actually do. He'd only heard what she could do.
I guess he heard that several
then when he actually saw it, he was like a kid in a candy store. It was, the next best thing since sliced bread. He was happy as shit when he saw this little girl setting fire to... She didn't only set fire to the wood chips, but then she launched, this flaming tray at the window.
No, was it...
That was the wood chips.
No, the wood chips was in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Yes,
they were sitting on the other... Oh, sorry. The cocoa, yes, she did boil over the cocoa.
So she obviously is still getting worked up by her emotions. Why is nobody walking into that room with full... I don't care who's... janitor. That's George C. Scott plays later. But why is nobody walking into that room with full fire protecting gear, or at least have a fire extinguisher on a holster? You know,
there were points in the movie that did make, I guess, sense. Are you going to go charging into a room after you just watch this little girl?
No. I'm not.
This cup of hot cocoa.
I'm sitting in the fucking red shirt. No, nope. I'm not doing it. So, yeah, I just thought that was hilarious. It's like, there's a fire extinguisher.
I totally missed that.
Safety first. Okay, so... shit. So, they established that they need to connect with this girl some way. So, George C. Scott, he's the main baddie. He's the hired thug that is gonna ultimately captures her. But he's gonna make friends with her because, man, does he want to shove her cartilage into her brain so badly he can taste it. He's such a weirdo. He's such a freaking weirdo in this movie.
Definitely a weird, creepy fucking way to put it.
Oh man! So he's coming in. He's like, "Hello, I'm your friend, and here's a teddy bear." And oh, that doesn't seem right to keep you in here. And she's like, "Duh, I'm stupid," and that's just the way that's going. Well, but it totally works.
They followed typical '80s style, movie making. It's like the gratuitous sex scene in a movie. It's like, okay, it was. The movie was going great. They didn't have to put that in there, but they did it anyway. Your typical villain, okay? Did they ever once explain what happened to George C. Scott's face? No. It was only referenced even once in the movie, where he asked Charlie, "Does this scare you?" as he's pointing to his eye. That's the only time it was ever really referenced.
Well, I'm glad he gave him an eye patch because we weren't going to be sure about whether or not he was a bad guy.
All I could think was, "Arr."
Arr! I'm George C. Scott. Arr! I'm going to have an amazing scene with Martin Sheen later. Don't worry about it.
So, I mean, it's one of those things I wish... it really didn't make or break anything, but I wish that they would have said something or alluded to something, that might have possibly even have happened to his face. Because there's really no relationship between Martin Sheen and George C. Scott's characters. They just kind of threw them together as if they kind of sort of knew one another.
I kind of get it. It's like, okay, he's the baddie, we give him an eye patch, fine. All right. That's not the first time, that's not the last time.
That was my point. Typical 80s movie style. They just threw shit in there just because.
Totally.
Just because.
So he engineers this thing to get the power out, and so that way he's going to become friends with her. This power outage scene made my skin crawl. Absolutely made my skin crawl. He's not even from a story standpoint. I'm talking from an actor standpoint. I'm sitting there going, is child welfare services on site? I mean, is everyone cool with this scene? Is Drew Barrymore cool with this scene? It's creepy as fuck. And I don't think I really need to explain it that much more. It's just creepy.
She was like 7 or 8. I honestly don't even know that she was aware of how that looked.
How aware are you of what this scene is saying, doing, what it could be implied as? It's just bad. And okay.
At 7 or 8, are you thinking, ching ching, I can get, that new bike. I can, do whatever with all this money that I'm making on this. Mommy and Daddy, I'm sure, were sitting off, behind the scenes watching, okay, it's a big payday. Okay, it's a big... Fuck it, it's a big payday.
And the director's like, look, this is what's going on. Don't worry about this. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, regardless of any of that, are they aware of how this is being presented? And you know what? I don't want to sit there and belabor this. It's like, obviously, this is not a pedophile type of situation. It just looked that way, okay? I know the movie wasn't going for that. I know the actors weren't going for that. Because that's not what he was all about. He's like, at the worst, it's, hi, little kid, you want some candy type of stuff.
But I'm not so sure that that's not what they were going for, that it just so happened to come across
his motivation, George C. Scott's motivation is to befriend Drew Barrymore.
Okay. Several scenes of dialogue in the movie, it comes across as creepy ass, scary pedophile. Right, so let's go through it. All right, so we got the power outage scene. Yes.
What other scenes were there?
It's Martin Sheen and George C. Scott in Martin Sheen's office, and George C. Scott is telling Martin Sheen that when he's done with her, he wants her. And he
fucking scene, by the way.
He even references the fact that she's a pretty little girl.
Did he?
Yes.
Gross.
Yes. It several scenes, at least those 2 scenes in this movie, it was, oh my god.
Toucher movie. Oh, man, gross. Okay.
So yeah, they had to watch each scene before, they said, okay, that's a keeper, we're going with that one. So somebody had to have watched, each of those scenes individually before they made it to the actual movie. And at some point, it had to have crossed someone's mind, wow.
Do you know what this sounds like?
That was hella creepy.
Yeah, but let's not take away from the fact that the scenes between Martin Sheen and George C. Scott are amazing. I could just sit there and watch those.
Okay, clearly you've got a hard-on for Martin Sheen and George C. Scott.
I have a hard-on for that. I have a hard-on for this performance. It's like it's completely independent of the movie. I mean, it's like they're just like, I'll do your silly little Firestarter movie, but I want to fucking act. You want to act? You want to act? You and George C. go into this room and you guys just go act. That's what
you want to see me creep the shit out of the public? You want to see me creep the shit out of the public? That's all I hear.
No, their dialogue. His delivery about what he's going to do to her is crazy. It's fucking crazy. It's brutal, it's inhumane, and it's blood-curdling, and I loved every second of it. Every second of that creep-ass scene, I loved it.
Even with the pedophile overtones? I mean, it's...
When this happens quite a bit in movies, right? Whenever you introduce that level of interaction, or maybe even high art. I mean, I don't know if I'm going that far, but I mean, high art into a movie like this, it's going to stand out as either inappropriate or not within context. But their scenes, if you just watch those, are amazing. They're absolutely amazing.
This is true. Now, this movie is by no means, to my knowledge, I don't think it won any awards for anything. If it did, it would have been.
I think it got an award for special
cinematography, special effects.
Exactly.
For its time, I thought it was pretty decent.
I thought the special effects held up.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we're gonna move on a little bit because again, the father wants to get out of there. So the father, Dave Keith, is sitting there saying, "Okay, what do I need to do?" So they're giving him pills to suppress his abilities, basically.
Yes.
And they're gonna trick him. Probably, they're gonna end him basically. And they said, "Okay, we're gonna transfer you to this island, Fiji, and all this other horse shit." And it's like, well, even as a movie character, you buy this. But so he's going to trick them, and they got cameras in his room, and he's pretending to take the pills and all this stuff. But we know that he still has his powers because.
Well, he didn't for a minute, though. He didn't for a minute. He kept taking the pills just randomly. He did fight him off a little bit, but
remember he has that scene in front of the mirror. He's like, "You can't take these pills anymore. You got to control this."
Yes, but before that, it took him trying to get that other poor random ass agent guy to dump ink into his water.
I totally thought he was pretending there. I thought he was pretending. I thought that was part of the con.
It took him a good 2 minutes, rubbing his head, and he never got the nosebleed. But just
he never got the nosebleed. That's why I say
the look on his face though I thought was genuine. Oh shit, I can't do this anymore. And that was when he stopped fighting the taking of the pills, just went along with it, played the role, and ended up dumping the pills.
Interesting. We might need a tiebreaker on this for our audience comments at FlicksandDicks@gmail.com. All right. So either way, he decides that he can't take the pills anymore. Mm-hmm. We established that he still has his powers because he can change the channel without using his hands.
That was him testing himself.
That's right. So he still got it. And he's still okay.
With all the cameras on him, he thought that no one would notice him putting his hands to his head and rubbing the hell out of it.
All right, so my question is, does he have to put his hands to his head and have his nose bleed for it to work?
How else are you going to know what he's doing?
Dude, he tells those two agents, everyone fucking knows this, the reviews, the comments, they all acknowledge this, is that when he's taking his daughter out of the house earlier in the scene, mm-hmm. and those two agents go there to meet him, he says, "You're blind. You're blind, Willie." And he never puts his hand to his head. I totally remember that. I got a
He
note on
didn't?
here. Never puts his hands. He just
Oh.
does it.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it just
You know
for
what?
that.
Like, I fucking care. Like, I totally care. He's got telekinetic powers. Does he have to put his hands to his head? I don't know.
Okay, in every other scene, he's
In every other scene, he don't.
rubbing on his head like he's jerking his face off.
Totally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
he's getting ready to splooge his blood out of his nose. Okay, we just took this to another level.
so, that being said, he's sitting there alone in his room, and he's testing his powers to make sure that he's got him back. And he's sitting there, and he's looking around like he's looking to see if anybody's watching him. But there's cameras. They're not hidden cameras. There's just cameras positioned in the room. And he is still trying to be sneaky, looking to the left, looking to the right. And then he starts, stroking his head. And then the channels change.
That's right. So we know he's good.
He's good to go.
All right. So this brings up to the next scene, which I call the puppet scene. That he basically uses Martin Sheen, sticks his hand up his ass, and uses Martin Sheen as a puppet, which I thought was amazing. I'm like, man, he's got his hand so far up his ass, it's up to his shoulders.
I think that was Martin Sheen's first role as a submissive.
Come on, Martin Sheen's going, is this how we're playing it? This is bullshit.
Do you know who I am?
Do you know who
Martin
I am?
Fucking Sheen.
Yeah, he totally uses him as a puppet throughout the duration of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
For the rest of this movie, he's like, say this. Okay, I say that. Now do this. Now, okay, I'll go ahead and do that.
And I guess it was, the anger that heightened, anger/fear that heightened both characters' powers. But when you move, just a little bit further into the movie, and he's still controlling Martin Sheen, he doesn't have to rub his head at all anymore. He just says jump, and Martin Sheen says, yes, sir, how high?
I thought he did rub his head a couple times later on.
He might have, but he didn't have to do it for everything that he was telling Martin Sheen to do.
Right.
When they're in the barn.
Yeah,
The barn with the horses.
Which is a good, that's a good time to bring up. Drew Barrymore gets coerced and going to this barn through other, touch and manipulations.
It's because George C. Scott, John Rainbird, was taking her to see her daddy.
Yeah,
That was all the motivation and all the coercion she needed was, I'm taking you to see your father.
Yeah, and George C. Scott's whole motivation is he just wants to smash her in the face and just kill her dead. It's so weird.
But he did like her, though. He did like her.
You think the character George C. Scott was playing, you think he genuinely liked Drew Barrymore?
One of his last words, or some of his last words, I love you, Charlie. And then he goes to shoot her.
He wants to see a smashed face. That's what he loves about her.
I didn't say what it was about her that he actually liked, but there was some part of her that some part of him actually liked. I mean, come on now, how fucking sick and twisted is that? I love you, Charlie.
I love you, Charlie.
Now I'm gonna shoot you in the fucking face.
Yeah. This is. Oh my god, I love the way these characters are written, and yes, it's uncomfortable, but god damn it, I love the way these characters are written. Okay, so they're in the barn, and finally the dad gets to her as well, and Martin Sheen's standing there with Andrew's arm still up his ass, and so it's a standoff.
Mm-hmm.
He's convincing Drew Barrymore that, George C. Scott's a baddie, and George C. Scott's like, no, I'm the good guy, blah, 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 blah. I want to be with you,
And then she goes to climb, she actually leaves Daddy's side to go climb the ladder to go be with George C. Scott.
So, Andrew gets shot eventually by George C. Scott, shot in the neck, so he's done. And what are his last words? What are his last words before he leaves this world?
Any good dad would tell the child, anyone gets in your way, you kill them. You burn them.
Spoken like a true father. I don't know.
Burn it all down.
People on the internet's. I don't know if we've established it or not. Mike is a father of 4. I'm a father of 0. I'm a father of 2 dogs. Okay, so this is definitely where this is coming from. So the dad's dying in Drew Barrymore's arms, and he says, burn it all down. No, you get to the newspapers because that's going to save us, and you just burn it all down.
But notice when it was Charlie's life in peril, It was, you have to learn to control this. You have to learn to control this. When Dad got shot, however, Dad finally just said, you know what, fuck it. They need to die.
Yep, there you go.
It nothing to do with your safety. Now that I'm on my way out, now you can fucking kill them.
Go for it, guys. Go for it. No, that was fucking awesome. And so, this last scene, I mean, it's a little bit long, I thought, and which was part of my critique for the other scenes of this movie. Things weren't really established that well, or especially with George C. Scott's character, I would like to see him more of playing the long game.
There was absolutely nothing established about George C. Scott's character, John Rainbird, other than the fact that he was creepy as fuck. The kind of guy that, you're walking down the street with your kids, and you start to walk past the house, and all of a sudden you break into, a nice sprint, shoving your children past. No, we don't hesitate here. We do not pause in front of this creepy motherfucker's house. That was really the only thing that was established about that character.
If anything was sacrificed in terms of time or character development or story development, it was definitely for the sake of this last scene. This last scene goes on forever. It goes on forever. She's throwing fireballs. How she do that? I don't know. But she's throwing fireballs at everyone, and she is lighting it up. It's crazy.
And this is where you start to notice the smirks on her face. She is blowing bitches up left and right. Men, women, does not freaking matter. And then, what's his name? Moses Gunn.
Yeah.
Is it Moses Gunn? Is that his name?
It says Moses something. Yeah.
Anyway, he instead of his fight or flight response was quite comical, to say the least. He kept stopping to see what she was doing. I don't know. Maybe that's just the puss coming out in me. I don't know, but I've got some crazy chick launching fireballs left and right.
Back.
From her face, chest, fingertips, wherever the hell they were coming from. I don't know. Don't care. I've got some crazy bitch launching fireballs left and right at anything and everything that moves. I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not going to keep turning back to look. You're going to hear the loudest, shrillest, just girlish screams coming from me. Getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Totally. Yeah, so she's throwing fireballs right and left, and just blowing everything up. And again, my notes she's a spawn of Satan. She's from hell, and she's enjoying this shit.
This is where I strongly disagree. I don't see her as the spawn of Satan or, evil incarnate, whatever. She's a little kid. Kids don't have or really know or understand self-control.
She was exercising no self-control.
Evidenced early on in the movie when she was told to go to bed. But I'm not tired. Anybody who's ever had kids or has ever babysat kids knows full well, you tell a child that it's time for bed, they're not going to go 9 times out of 10. Every once in a while you get that golden child that says, okay, it's bedtime, I'm off to bed. Most kids, I'm not tired yet. Thank God most kids aren't going to set your ass on fire because you told them to go to bed.
So yeah, she just completely lays waste to the building, to helicopters, everything. But after all that, and after it looks like she's smirking and doing all this stuff, what we cut to her going up to Art Carney and be like, I didn't mean to.
Don't leave out the fact that she had to have hitched a ride.
Yeah.
She shows up in some other. Okay, each time they've arrived at this farmhouse, it was in a pickup truck. Okay, I get it. You're in the South. Any upstanding redneck. Sorry, that might be a bad thing. I don't know. My family's all redneck, so I figured that was
totally
okay.
Cool with redneck.
Any upstanding Southern person is going to have a functioning pickup truck. It's a staple. You have to have one.
Too funny.
So this little 7-8-year-old girl hitched a ride with some random ass person.
Again, very uncomfortable. Probably not.
But no. Hang on. Not even going the creepy, child predator. No, we're not going there at all. you see a 7 or 8 year old kid on the side of the road, and they're thumbing for a ride.
What? Where's child services? Why is nobody calling the hospital, child services, anything?
There's no payphones out in the boonies.
Why is nobody taking? No, I guess at that time you just go ahead and take them in as your own.
Okay.
Because we never had children and we always tried.
There's Southern hospitality. Get it? It exists, like no other. Southern hospitality is a true thing. But you don't just pick up a 7, 8 year old little girl on the side of the road and take her to some random ass old guy's house and drop him off.
It's uncomfortable. So
in their defense, though, the guy did sit there long enough for the old gal to pick up Charlie and hug on her. That truck never left. The person that whomever this random person was that she hitched a ride with never left. So they do have that going for them.
So she again says her bullshit line in the exact same way she said it every other time. I didn't mean it, Art Carney. I didn't mean it. And then you're like, okay, all right, what's that? I'm hoping you never get mad at me.
Yeah, no shit. I was a little lost as to how or why Mom or Grandma Farmer Irv, Mrs. Farmer Irv, just smiled and grabbed her up and started hugging on her.
They have no idea what she just went through.
I think it's because she was weirded out by Dad. I know it was this little bitty prepubescent child that just blew these motherfuckers all to hell. But now that Dad's not present, now it's okay. Now it's all right. Dad just had these crazy-ass nosebleeds. That's all Dad did.
I blew him up.
Dad just bled like a stuck pig. No, I do not want you here. Leave my property.
And Art Carney's not asking the question they should. It's like, did you enjoy doing that?
Better question. Did you blow Daddy up?
Very good question. Absolutely. All right, so this film is currently rated on IMDb with a user rating of 6.0. Fairly low, but I think that has to do with maybe the age and the fact that, this is a B movie, right? This is a Stephen King movie at the very least, and oh my God, don't get me started on Stephen King movies, but pretty mixed reviews. This is a 6.0 out of 10. So
it's a fun movie.
It is a fun movie.
It really is.
And there's some performances you can get through this movie, and
most definitely
for that in it itself there's some performances. This is fantastic.
I liked Drew Barrymore in this movie, so long as she wasn't speaking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but she's so sorry.
The physical acting from Drew Barrymore's part, I thought was great when she's blowing bitches up left and right.
The physical acting from the crew of people right below her with hair blow dryers blowing it up in her face.
Oh my God!
Back off! Back off! That's what this movie should have been called. Back off.
I just can't help but think if this had been done around the time of Bad Boys, Bad Boys 2. Woosah, motherfucker! Woosah!
Totally.
Calm that shit down.
Yeah, she's like, she's not trying to transfer the energy into water. She's like rubbing her earlobes, going woosah, woosah, woosah. All right, so Mike, would you recommend this film?
Most definitely, but I think more for nostalgic purposes than anything else.
Really? This movie doesn't hold up?
Okay, I tried to watch it with my wife last night.
Yeah.
And she actually just said fuck it and went to sleep. She goes, I thought I remembered this movie being faster paced and
it's
some action.
So it's pretty slow paced.
It's a very slow movie. It was more so a drama with sci-fi overtones than
sci-fi.
Than really a science fiction.
Is this a sci-fi
movie.
flick or is it a horror flick?
It is. I think it's categorized as sci-fi as well as drama or something.
Sometimes
like
that can be mixed up. I went into back when Blockbuster had Blockbuster stores. I went in. I was looking for Footloose, and they said, "Oh, that's in the musical section." I'm like, "The fuck are you talking about? Those are soundtracks. That does not a musical make, you know."
Okay, IMDb classifies Firestarter as action, horror, sci-fi, thriller.
Oh, is there anything... Musical is left out of there, then.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a score, for crying out loud.
It is not a musical. Which I think we should definitely do a podcast for a musical.
Oh, fuck yeah. And you know what? It's not going to be Footloose, because Footloose is not a fucking musical. I am definitely recommending this musical. Jesus Christ, listen to me. I think I'm 3 beers in now. No, I'm definitely recommending this movie. This movie is... It's awesome for 80s nostalgia. Drew Barrymore is getting it done. And in this, she's giving a very... similar and sincere performance. I don't think that's because she's a good actor at that time. I think it's because she is directable. She can do what she's told. And that's probably the problem with a lot of child actors.
I think that her direction probably went something like this. Imagine you're actually doing this.
Exactly. Like, imagine that you are actually blowing shit up.
And yet
or not even imagine, it's like, you actually did that. Are you okay with that, Drew Barrymore? Oh my god, I'm a monster!
If you don't recall this, rewatch, especially just the last bit, where they're at the shop, and she's blowing motherfuckers, just shit blowing up fire everywhere. And yeah, you got the crew with the fans or hair dryers, whatever, in her face, and you can see her eyes, and she's just thinking, oh fuck, this sucks. But imagine you're actually doing this, and all of a sudden that smirk comes onto her face. It doesn't last long, but it's definitely there. It's like, oh shit, she's enjoying this.
I have no idea. And I actually looked around on the makings of it and thought, I couldn't find anything that showed her how they actually motivated her for some of these reactions, but they're amazing. Yeah, and of course, if you're a fan of just the good old boys club getting together and doing some just good old fashioned acting, Martin Sheen and George C. Scott in a room together, and I still have an erection from this shit. It's great. It's absolutely great. Those scenes hold up. The movie holds up. Yeah, they're making a phone call from a phone booth, but that's about the only thing that you're going to run into in terms of antiquated setting or anything like that. So the movie really keeps, I think, for me, it really kept me going.
Instead of cell phones, they had walkie-talkies.
Oh, no, there you go.
They did have that.
I was talking on a walkie-talkie.
I don't know. I've never seen... I hate to say it, but I've never seen George C. Scott and Martin Sheen as good, solid A actors.
And that is why I
see Martin Sheen and George C. Scott as B/A actors.
Ooh, we're definitely going to get emails on that one.
Totally fine.
No. Those
look
two
at
actors.
their lists of movies.
What's that?
Look at the list of movies that Martin Sheen. List of movies that Martin Sheen has
Martin
been
Sheen,
in.
the American President, fantastic performance, awesome. I mean, those are all A-list actors in that movie.
Again, look at their repertoire. Look at the list of films that they have done. You can't look at one film that they've done and, oh my god, that was such an amazing fucking film. A good 4-star solid Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah.
And then you look at every other film they've done.
Yeah, but we do judge actors' performance in a movie or give them a pass or not based off the body of their work. It's like, we know you can either do much better work but in this movie, they're doing what they're supposed to and they're bringing their A game. I think they're bringing their A game in the movie.
I agree.
Nobody's phoning this shit in.
I think the script was kind of weak.
And you know what?
But
when you have script and direction, that might be a little bit weak. But even the direction, how'd you get that performance out of Drew Barrymore? And yeah, her reactions every single time, it just cracked me up.
Back off.
Yeah. Firestarter, or Back Off, 1984. So that's it. That's Firestarter, 1984, starring Drew Barrymore, David Keith, Freddie Jones, Heather Locklear, Martin Sheen, George C. Scott, and Art Carney. Let's not forget him. And if you want to catch this podcast, be sure to subscribe to... Or go ahead and shoot us an email at... I'll have to redo that. What's the name of our goddamn email?
I thought it was Dicks on Flicks.
No, it's FlicksandDicks.
Oh, okay. FlicksandDicks. We got to fix that too.
Yep. All right, hang on. Or go ahead and shoot us an email with any and all comments to... God damn it. Okay, let's just try it again. Flicks and Dicks. Yeah, Flicks and Dicks.
How are you spelling FlicksandDicks?
I don't know. It's just exactly how it sounds.
I thought, well, is it FILXDIX or is it FLICKSDIX?
It's DICKS.
Okay, and Flicks as in
Okay.
FLICKS.
All right, we're going to do this again. All right.
Or FLIX.
This is funny. Okay. Or go ahead and shoot us an email at flicksandDicks@gmail.com. Any and all comments welcome, and tell us what you'd like to go ahead and review, and give our general take and funny things that are in our huge brain of yours. Until next time, next week we will be sounding off on Count of Monte Cristo. And until then, stay cool. This is Travis.
This is Mike.
Take it easy.